Good evening, divine beloveds. Peace, well-being, prosperity, and the favor of spirit be to you and your house. Welcome to Tuesday Talk. I'm Carol. The God in you is perfect. Whatever's going on in your life, just know that everything is as it is supposed to be and will work together for your good. Tonight, we have a really wonderful topic that I'm going to share with you. We're going to talk about guarding your heart. Guarding your heart. Certainly, that's not something that in our culture is really appreciated. The heart is not something that we pay attention to. We pay attention to the bottom line and getting things done. That's important. Who's important? Positions, all of that kind of thing. But guarding the heart is important. Now, we think of guarding our heart when we think about a love affair. If you've had your heart broken, and who hasn't? Everybody's had their heart broken. Even if it was when you were in the 6th grade or the 4th grade or whatever, everybody experienced a broken heart at some point. If you remember what it was like to have a broken heart, it seemed like the whole world was coming to an end. You thought everybody knew it. Everybody was looking at you, feeling sorry for your sappy little self. And that's what you went away with until you recovered from your broken heart and you could stand on your feet. Well, when we grow up, broken hearts are something that we guard ourselves against. Not so much like when you're children, you don't know, but when you're an adult, you create barriers, you create walls to make sure that you guard your heart. Your heart isn't broken again. But we do ourselves a disservice when we only think of guarding our heart when it comes to the matters of the heart or the matters of romance. We need to guard our heart in all things. Now, I'm particularly talking tonight to people that are giving people, sharing people. If you're a giving person and people say, nice person, you're a nice person, you want to make sure everybody's happy. You want to make sure everybody has what they need. So when you think about a giving, kind, wonderfully nurturing person, of course, you first think about a woman. But then there are men that are equally as kind-hearted and giving and nurturing. And these are the people who really get it, like people stick it to you, they say, because people can see you coming. They can see you coming. And does that mean that you change who you are? No, of course not. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. There are a lot of us that are tender, but we have built brick walls around us. There are also those of us who are tender and don't build the brick wall. And we're vulnerable. We leave ourselves open because when somebody needs something, we're right there with it. And we feel like it's really important for us to be what other people need us to be. And we then put a label on it. We blame it on Christianity. We think, well, that's the way, if I'm a good Christian, that's what I'm supposed to do as a good Christian. Then we also hear the other side of it is that we are not doormats just because you claim the label of Christianity. You're not a doormat. So how do you balance being a nice person, a tender person, a loving, giving person against a person who is not that way? It's not either or. It really isn't. If you are that kind of person, trying to be something else is ridiculous. You can't be anything but who you are and what you are. And the beautiful thing about that, and I want you to hear me clearly, the beautiful thing about that is because You were created that way. You were created to be a nurturing, giving, loving person, and you get joy out of the giving. The other side of that is there are people who get joy out of the taking. Some people give, some people take. We are all givers and takers at different points in our lives. But there are some people who are kind of make a practice of taking, and the idea of gratitude is really very superficial. They may say thank you and they keep on going, and the next time they're back again. If that is you, the giving person, you can't become a not giving person. So let me call your attention to Philippians chapter 4, verse 7. Philippians 4, verse 7. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. The peace of God. So the first thing that we are looking for, and this scripture positions us or speaks to us to find, is the peace of God. That peace that passes all understanding, that peace that only God can give. Now, I want to ask you, do you have that peace? Do you have that? Have you figured out how to bring that peace into your world? Do you have it always, or is it something that kind of is a glimpse that you get out the corner of your eye every now and then? The peace of God that passes all understanding will keep your hearts. We can't keep our hearts. Building that brick wall around us so that we are not mushy, we're not so vulnerable, it's not going to help, because we deconstruct the wall whenever we want to. Now, peace is not just quiet. It's not when everything is going good and you feel good and you maybe just ate and you're watching a nice TV show and everything is quiet. That's a peaceful place. Sometimes you're listening to music and the dog isn't barking and the kids are cool or they're grown and everything is okay. Those are peaceful moments. But the peace of God is that which is resident or with us always. It is a state of consciousness, a state of mind. And let me tell you this, once you have found it, you will never let it go. You will let everything and everybody else go so that you keep that peace of God that you have found. It's like a rare jewel or a diamond. We have to use the formula that is there for us to find it. There isn't anything that God offers to us where there aren't instructions as to how to get it. So you write down Philippians chapter 4, not the whole chapter, but chapter 4, beginning at verse 7. That's where it talks about the peace of God that passes all understanding. If you go on to the 8th verse, it begins to tell us how to do that. Paul wrote Philippians, and I absolutely love this verse. It begins with the word finally. Finally means after everything else, after you've tried everything else, after you have bought every formula on the internet, you downloaded everything, after you've listened to all advice about everything, finally, Paul says, whatsoever is true. Whatsoever is true. Now stay with me, because this verse is preceded by the 7th verse, which says, the peace of God. So when you get to the 8th verse, it's talking about how to get to the peace of God. It's ongoing. It takes a little bit of energy to get it down, but we will get it down. I challenge you this week to look at that verse and follow what I'm saying, because if you continue to do this, it becomes a part of you. And that peace that you're looking for, it's not something that is difficult to find. It will begin to be with you always in a natural way. Remember, I said it's a state of mind, it's a state of consciousness, but there are some prerequisites to getting there. And so Paul says, whatever things are true. So when you're about to exercise your generosity in giving, and when I say giving, I'm not talking about your 10% tithe. I'm talking about people that just give to overflowing. They discover a need and they'll go for it. They know that if I put this together, it'll make everybody happy. And on and on and on. And we convince ourselves, those of us who are like that, convince ourselves that it is absolutely the right thing to do. But Paul says, whatsoever things are true. And so when you are looking at a situation, he's saying, what is the truth about this situation that I'm about to pour myself into a person? What is the truth that they're bringing to this relationship? What is the truth about the situation that I'm stepping into? What is the truth that is being told to me? Whatsoever is true. This is the hard work for those people who are giving people and nurturing people. People with that kind of personality, I won't say you set truth aside, but it's not the first thing that you're concerned about. The first thing you're concerned about is making everybody okay and the situation okay. And if there's something on the back end, you'll worry about that later. No, this is the very first thing that Paul said. If you make bullet points out of it, what is the truth that's being presented to me? What is the whole truth about this? Honesty is next, but honesty and truth are different. There's this term that everybody hates, that truth is relative. Well, it is, because your truth in a situation may not be the truth. And so it is up to us to discern what the truth is and what is our truth in it. And once we discover what our truth is, we act on what our truth is. We can live with that. We can sleep with that. But if we don't take the time to dissect what is true about a situation and what is true to me within that situation, we stand a good chance of really getting hurt. So, for example, there's something that you want to do for someone. The truth is they're a jerk. Just teasing, this is an example, but the truth is they're a jerk. And you want to help them because you got a good heart. That's your truth. You got a good heart. That's your truth. Small t. The capital T truth is the jerk's not going to appreciate it. They're going to take your gift and run, maybe say thank you, and you're going to be left standing there wondering, what happened? I really tried. Well, maybe they'll come back around. No. The work is done on the front end, so that if you decide to do it, you are fully prepared for the outcome that you know to be true. That's where the peace of God comes in, because you have dealt with it ahead of time. It's hard to get peace after you've been slapped on both sides of your face. It's hard to get peace when somebody has mooned you. You've got to anchor into that peace in the beginning by examining what is true, capital T, what is your truth, small t. Paul said, whatsoever things are honest, be honest with yourself. Why are you doing this? Is there a better way that it can be done? Not only that, is there someone else that could do it better than you, because you know that you have a vulnerable heart? You know that if you get in a situation like this, you're very likely to be scarred. Sometimes you need to pick up the phone and call somebody else who is better able to handle certain situations than you are, recognizing that is also being nurturing. But it's being honest. You're being honest with who you are. And are you the mental equivalent to this situation? Are you a match for this person? Are you a match for the circumstances that you're about to step into? Because the peace of God that passes all understanding is at stake here. But we're still in the building mode. Whatsoever things are just, what is fair? What is fair? And we think often about people being fair to us. But on our side, where we are we fair in our dealings with other people? Not cutting corners, not saying, well, they don't know, it's okay. No, are we fair? Whatsoever things are just, because when you are not just, you will not have the peace of God. The peace of God that passes all understanding. It is hard to, in this world, to always think about what's fair and what's right, because you know that other people on the other side may not necessarily be thinking about what's fair to you. So it's not just what's fair to someone else in your actions. It is what is fair to you. Are you being just to yourself? Are you being fair to yourself? Don't skip over this. This is so, so very important, because the peace of God, your peace of mind, is at stake on this. You must be fair to yourself as well. And in order for you to be honest with yourself and fair to yourself, you have to think that you're worthy of it. So it's not about doing things so that you will gain the favor of other people, or that it's always about the benefit of the other person. It is also about what is fair and just and right for you. Because when the party is over and everybody goes home, you have to live with you. You have to live with the decisions that you made. And if the jerk jerks you over, you have to live with the fact that you allowed it. We allow what happens to us. Whatsoever things are pure. Is this a good situation for me to go into, or are there some hidden pieces in it? And take the time to figure out whether there are some hidden pieces in it. Whatsoever things are pure. Examining our own motives. So we're speaking a little bit about what's happening on the other side, but I really want you to understand that these questions, these bullet points, these things that Paul has laid out for us to lay juxtaposed to our actions and our motives, are really things that we are examining internally, because we can't change other people. A jerk is a jerk is a jerk. They're a jerk today, they're going to be a jerk tomorrow. Okay, so, all right, don't say that because everybody can change. Yeah, that's true. But we're not talking about everybody. We're talking about ourselves and the world. And you have to build within yourself a guard, a way of protecting your heart and mind to be whatever is pure in your heart and in your mind. What are your motives in doing such things, in making a particular decision? Are you looking to get something out of it? Or are you doing it just for the sake of goodness? It's worth examining, because we're not always as perfect as we are perfect. Sometimes we slipped out of our perfection. whatsoever things are of good report. How is this going to play out? The response to what I'm doing, is it going to be good? Will people have good things to say about it? Sometimes people have negative things to say about your good works, but it's up to you to examine that. And every good need not be done by you. So you go down the checklist and you look at everything and you say, I think I got it all. I think I'm on point with everything here. The peace that passes all understanding is at stake here. So what I'm sharing with you is kind of a checklist. You have it in your Bible, so you don't need my notes. If you continue to examine what you do against these things that Paul shared with us in his finally, in when you've tried everything else, it will become something that you do first. You'll go down and you'll see if I have checked all of this. And it is, of course, for the good of others, but first for your own good, because we're establishing that space for the peace of God in our minds and in our hearts. Guard your heart. These are the steps of guarding your heart. Is it of good report? Well, the other people aren't the only ones reporting it. You have something to say about it as well. Do you have a good report based on your motives, your intentions, and what you did? How do you evaluate that? That is totally yours to do. You leave what other people say with them. This thing about the peace of God is so personal that you're evaluating everything that you're doing for yourself. And Paul finally says, he says, if there be any virtue, if there's any reason to praise, if there's anything good to say about it, think about these things. The peace of God that passes all understanding will be yours if you think about these things. I'm going to invite you to open your mic tonight. And if you have something that you would like to share, I would love to hear it.
My comment is that, I enjoy the half hour that I spent with you on this Tuesday and a couple Tuesdays that I've been here that I found you. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I do notice that you have been here and you are always welcome. Thank you.
I want to say thank you. I did enjoy it today. I want to say I have to go out and buy me some soft shoes because you just stepped all over my feet and they are hurting right now.
You know what?
Message well received.
Please know that I'm always stepping on my own feet as well. In my years of pastoring, this was always my benediction because I wanted people to leave with a positive thought. But it's always interesting when you go back to something, Spirit will show you something different. And it wasn't until recently I looked at that and said, wait a minute, this is how you get to the peace that passes all understanding. So I am glad to share that with you. That's all I have for tonight. I'll see you in the spirit next time.